I blame the handlers. That was wrong.
Now, he was talking to the Nigerian journalists.
Only Nigerian journalists?
Yeah,
in India? Only Nigerian journalists? In America? Only Nigerian journalists in France? One-on-one?
Interview.
Oh, then in that case, I forgive him.
Let me ask you, Sir Gusau. I mean, sir, you special advisor to communication and strategy to Borno government. And when he says that when you think that Nigerians are in a hurry, I remember asking Professor Rufai Alkali at that time, why is it that when politicians win elections today, the next thing they're planning for the next one? So it looks as if they all have it figured out when it comes to planning and how to go about elections. But when it comes to governance issues, because, I mean, they're elected for 4 years, are the people supposed to wait until the second year if you say they're in a hurry? Because time waits for no one.
Well, I think you have to, first of all, look at the scenarios. Is it a continuation of government? Is it a government re-elected, or a government that is coming to take over from a different government? We all know that in the transition, at the transition level, there were so many issues. We heard about the then incoming administration complaining that there was no cooperation from the outgoing government. They were not carried along in terms of the transition processes and all that. We all heard about that. Now, depending on what we make of it, some would say it might have been some sort of propaganda, but those who made that claim would always say, look, they had justification for it. Now, I am going with them that they had justification because I'm part of the government. We must understand is that this is a government that took over from a different one. And it is a government that is bent on a principle of changing what it meant on ground. I think it is still better for us to have more patience and get things right than rushing into something and then making the same mistake.
Give us a clear picture.
That we meet.
When you say patience, what exactly? How long? How many years? How long?
Now, it all depends on exactly what we want to do. For instance, we started by talking about ministers. I would say, like everyone would, that in between the time the president was declared, like everybody says that between the time the president was declared to the time he was sworn in, he ought to use that period to make contacts about which minister he wants to put in place. That is understandable. But you might recall that what I said was about what he meant on ground. These are two different things.
But don't forget, when they were drawing their party manifesto, all the lofty plans we saw there, did they rely on the handover notes before they drew those? But they had good plans.
You see, there's a difference between the plans you make and the opportunities you have to implement or execute those plans. If the president had certain things that he thought he wanted to achieve, that would be dependent on what he meets on ground. Perhaps he underestimated what he was likely to come across, or perhaps what he saw is far different from what he thought. So I think it is really, really excusable for us to understand that, look, the president, let's appreciate what he made on ground.
But the timeline, and then, you've not given us that timeline. If you say we're in a hurry, how long should we wait before we start seeing things happen?
That depends. Look, for instance, from the time the president comes, it's not as if nothing has happened.
Nothing.
For us, no. I would disagree with you when you say that. I'm in Borno State, for instance. I know what has changed in terms
because I was going to say that one of the things that
changed.
the president met on ground is the issue of the insurgency. And you are from Borno State, which can be described as the epicenter of all of this. What exactly has really changed?
So much has changed. For instance, the level of motivation in the troops is completely different from what it used to be. The cooperation between the states, both Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe, the government of the state with the federal government is completely different. The commitments of the service chiefs, they are all, so many things are different. And then you know that he has moved the command and control center, to Maiduguri, for instance. In the past, they were operating in isolation. The military didn't have the power to call for air support, to have an instant air support in the past. Whenever there were problems, the military would have to rely on the Air Force and start calling them. But now we now have what they call theater commander, who has the powers to call for air support, and it comes instantly when he needs it. There's proper coordination between the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army and the one from Jos that has been moved, to Damaturu. So there are a lot of, changes there.
The results, the yardstick for measurement, is the amount of casualties of people who have died. So if we measure it with that, can we say there's a major improvement?
There is, you see, it depends on how you're looking at it. Mumbai, for instance, in India, is a place that has over 5 million people. How many terrorists held Mumbai for a few days?
I'm talking about here, wherein the number of people who died at that time.
I'm giving you an instance. I'm giving you an instance. You see, there's a difference between decimating the coordinating units of the Boko Haram and then the guerrilla warfare. Whether you like it or not, I mean, nobody would sit down and expect that because the APC government has come, there wouldn't be attack in the streets. There could be attack in the street, and unfortunately, this is not something you easily address because you don't know who is Boko Haram and who is not. But I think the most important thing is that the coordinating units of the Boko Haram are seriously being targeted. Those of us who are on ground, we know this. Because we know that before the APC administration came on board, Boko Haram was in charge of Mafa, they were in charge of Mati, they had gone back to Ngala, and all of these places have been taken over. And then what is important to me is the level of commitment of the service chiefs, which wasn't there in the past.
Okay, now let's go to Mr. Omudi, where he said nothing has happened. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's very unfair. But who is fair these days? Now, my brother, first of all, I'm so very happy. You have people like him coming to discuss this matter. Now, we need to be asking a question. When we have people as articulate as this, why is the government not talking to us? Why wouldn't we have a government say, you see what, transport, we met this type of rot, and this is what we're planning to do. So please be patient with us. Education, we met this type of rot, and this is what we're planning to do. Please be patient with us. Pick the sector by sector. Tell us the rot.
You're talking about the federal government now.
I'm talking. Who else? I mean, I might talk.
Because he states and he's giving us
No, we have people like, let's promote him, federal government. I mean, he shouldn't be in Borno. It's too far away. Okay, there are people like him there who should be talking to us. We don't know. We just, what's going on? All we know, we see two types of people: the frustrated and the passionately blind. The frustrated, that's where I am. Then the passionately blind, get out, my friend, keep quiet. Be patient. After all, it's only 5 months. Before you know, it's only 7 months. Before you know, it's only 1 year. We know one thing. Working for all politicians ends in 2 years. You have 2 years to work. At the end of 2 years, you've started politics for the next one. They've started immediate politics for the next election. We know that.
I think it's really...
So 1 year is going to go, and then we enter the next year. What can you achieve within 1 year before we now start 2019? Because that's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's why we're impatient. We, the people.
We ghost also the people.
But in terms of the quick wins, because I've heard a lot of people talk about they measure the government given what they had said and how they were going to carry that out. Many also understand the challenge that they face, but in terms of communication, which is very central to a lot of things, how would you assess it? Do you think that we're informed enough about what the government is doing and how they intend to carry it out?
That's all. Well, I think, I don't know what is going through the minds of the president.